My name is Leonie, and this is the Hermit Derpcast, a monthly casual podcast to get myself talking more about arting and life. Today's date is the 20th of March, 2015. This is episode 3, when art was a hobby and teaching was a career, part 1. Introduction and housekeeping. Hello. This is the second time I had to record my whole show this episode, so I was pretty annoyed, but I need to make sure that this recording works. I think it will. The reason why I'm re-recording is this app I'm using to record this, it automatically has this feature called skip silence, so it skips all the long pauses I do, and it does a lot actually with because once I removed the feature, I was testing it without having it on, and it sounded horrible. It sounded like a really bad Skype call or phone call where it's muffled, you can't distinguish what the person is saying. The whole recording was unusable, and I have to do this all over again. But hey, I'm learning, and I'm also sick. I don't know if you can tell. I probably sound the same to you. I have no idea. But apologies in advance if I happen to sound horrible. Let's just pretend I sound good. Yeah, I sound good. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to introduce that this section is the housekeeping introduction section, but it doesn't matter. I don't think this matters at this point. Okay. Wow, what a great start. Oh, great. Wow. Fantastic. Okay, the next point I want to talk about is that I really want a professional microphone after this big, mistake, but, I need money, and I do have something in mind, but sometimes, as I said, sometimes you can't tell, and with this skip silence feature on, it sometimes cuts off my words unintentionally, and I can't help it. I can't control it, and a professional microphone home kit will actually help. On this subject, my brother says I should do this derpcasting thing for a year before I start getting any resemblance to a professional microphone, just to see if I could continue with it. So, and I think that's a fair call. Okay, the next point. I reapplied for iTunes. It turns out I actually missed the email. They actually got back to me within a week. I have made it... What did I do? I've given it a rating of explicit, and this rating really means adult language, but I don't really curse. I mean, I might use silly words like pee or, I don't know, really watered down terms. But I put the warning just in case. I'm really overcautious, and, in case if I ever do get friends and guests joining me for a feature of them on this podcast, I am happy for them to swear like a sailor if they like. Swear away, I don't mind. It's up to them, obviously, but I'm just giving them the freedom. And I might go over some mature themes, and I'm just being really, really cautious. But I'm in iTunes now. Yes, finally. It's obviously not special because there's millions and millions and bajillions of podcasts out there, but I finally got through all the technical difficulties, and I'm just happy that there's another way for people to just, access this podcast, and I'm happy for that. Because not everyone is reading my blog or going through social media. I completely understand that iTunes is a very, very convenient way to follow a podcast. If you notice for this preview image, I can't remove my toony face because I'm kind of tired of it. And this preview image has meaning to me, but you'll find out in the next episode. I'm not going to tell you what this preview image, with the grassy plains and the weird court goalposts, I'm not going to talk about it or leave it in for now, but you'll know in time. Oh, speaking of toony faces of myself, I did a new avatar, yay! And people seem to like it, and thank you. Because I already got a big bed at the top with my really, really extremely toony face already, and I figured I might as well do a more toned down in terms of level of tooniness. It's essentially me, in case you can't see and you just listen to this and you're not bothered to look. If you want to look, do so. So on my social media and all that, and on my blog. It's basically me, profile. Yes, oh my gosh, my memory. I just did it yesterday. My profile image on the side. Profile view of my face. Oh my gosh, words. And it's showing how I wear my glasses at this weird angle. I had to do that because it really hurts my head if I wear it normally, and as a result, the pinkness of my frames actually stick out in contrast to my black hair. Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, since people actually recognize me for my glasses, I might as well go all the way with that. And I also started putting up a photo I have of myself on my About page again, and I am gonna decide to just keep it there. Just going to give it another go. Just to show that I'm a human being and not just a toon face. I just have to refrain from looking at it because I am close to the point of being tired of seeing my own face. Or rather, the same image of my face, if that makes sense. It's not even a professional photo with makeup and all that, fancy stuff. It's just a phone camera photo like most people, and that's okay. It will have to do. Yeah, I'm just embarrassing myself on the internet, basically. Yeah. Okay, moving on. I don't want to sound, not narcissist pronouncing that right. Moving on from my personal facing. I said this over my blog already about what I'm going to do at this blog and what I'm going to do at Derpcast. But in case you don't read, I need to, be thorough with this. So if you've read this, you are amazing. Thank you. But I'll just quickly go over what I'm going to do in the blog and what I'm going to do here. So now there will be overlap between this blog and the Derpcast, but firstly, my regular bi-weekly blog, I'm going to focus on the projects and works I do. Detailed rambling on art topics, so people arguably say that essays, hey, that's how I like to talk to in a way, and things up, I don't know. I like to do reflections there. I like to, actually reflect on what, my thoughts following the previous Derpcast. I put up extra Hermit Derp adventures, so more lengthy lists of games I've watched or played, random photos, and my blog will always remain my main hub, or what I now call my online home. Online home, isn't that? It sounds so cozy, doesn't it? Meanwhile, this Hermit Derpcast /podcast, it will consist of Q&A, interactions from the Derpcast email and blog comments I receive, brief Hermit Derp adventure happenings, more in-depth thought on games, movies, and entertainment, verbal rambling on art topics, maybe time lapses. I say maybe because I've done that. How professional is this Derpcast? Anyway, I've done time lapses in the first episode, and I don't know how well that went. No one really talked on that. It's up to the year. When I'm ready again, I might do it again, but I don't know. There's also story time, like what this episode would actually consist of. and then I'll talk about lessons and morals afterwards. And there will be words of the month. It will still be. I'm hoping that this will be a consistent thing, and there will be questions for you. Yeah, you, the one listening right now. Questions for you for the month. So I don't know. We can talk and engage and interact. And lastly, for the Hermit Derpcast, I would like to maybe late 2015 or next year. I'm leaving a big period of time for me. I give myself some leeway. I might get ambitious and feature in some. Hopefully, I'll get more friends by then. I'm working on that. I'm not good at friendships, but spontaneous guest episodes. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, illustrators either, but illustrators would be great. Artists, animators, problem solvers, basically people in the creative field. People who, create things, or freelance, or do business, or, I don't know, just to talk about their work, philosophies, and ramble away. Given that we're not that awkward talking to each other, because that would make a really awkward podcast. Maybe entertaining to you, but very uncomfortable for the people talking. I am not sure when I'll actually actively look for people I'd like to feature. Maybe later this year, maybe next year, I don't know, it's up in the air. I do have a friend of mine who is my guinea pig, but I'll figure it out. But that's generally my whole list of what I think this Derpcast will be about. And I'm just thinking too far ahead anyway. Ultimately, my main and underlying aim to talk more about art and get better at talking, really. Boosting others will be a bonus. The obligation, I need to say this just in case, you can stay updated through the Derpcast via my blog, via social media, or you just subscribe to YouTube. It's easy that way. Or you got a podcast takes you an RSS feeds. You can do that too. Or you can actually get through iTunes. Yay, iTunes! I don't even have an iMagic, so I don't know how it works, but I do have iTunes on my computer. I only install just to see if my podcast works, so you can let me know if it's going all bad, but because I wouldn't know. I'm not going to keep track on that too much. But if you do follow me on any of those, just to keep updated on this blog, I mean, you don't need to follow all of them, that would be crazy. But thank you so much. I'm trying to talk more. Okay, let's move on. How was my month? Well, I'm sick. I don't know if you can tell. I've been sick for a while. And, for example, this morning I woke up with a sore throat, and I'm still wondering when will this cold end. Oh gosh. But anyway, complaining aside, I've done that in my blog already. I'm not going to complain here. What happened? My blog posts aren't as packed now, but I'm still drawing as usual. I was really, really flawed, or I'm pretty, shocked. People like my research. Mansion in the Skies piece I did, and also my profile face picture thing I did, so thank you. I just want to say another thank you. How awkward am I? Anyway. And obviously see my blog post for the actual art stuff I do and Hermit Derp stuff I do. I'm not sure if much people read it, but for those special small handful of people who do read it, thank you again. There's also a new occasional section I have on my blog called Food from the Gods. Yes, Food from the Gods. And why? Well, following from my last episode, as I talk about my hermit life, I really want to celebrate the little infrequent, delicious, interesting moments I have with food I don't eat that much. So, this is far, maybe there's a bit of showing off, maybe, and I'm not trying to be, people showing off food all the time, because I don't really eat out much anyway. And I actually took photo of a simple egg and bacon sandwich anyway. It's nothing special to most people. I was really, 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 really genuinely happy to be able to eat out at that time, because it was my brother's treat, and I was just, just savoring that moment of eating something even as simple as that. So, yes, I am sad, and even my brother thinks so. Well, I'm poor and I can't afford to eat out. I'm sad, okay? I don't care. It's the truth. So, food like that is special to me because I don't often eat that at all, and it's like a memento for me, I guess. Oh, that sounds even more sad, but yeah. If I were to summarize this month, it's much more quieter and really isolating. The world goes by, especially how a lot of things are happening in GDC and PAX East and conventions I might not know about. I don't know, a lot of things are happening. No idea, but I needed some quiet time, I guess. And I do not desire to infect other people. I'm infected, and it feels horrible, as you do when you're trying to recover from a cold. Yeah, that was my month. Oh gosh, I am sad. What can you do? Gotta keep fighting through it, don't we? Yeah. Leonie, oh my gosh. Oh my. Leonie, what are you doing? Say your name properly. Leonie talks about games. Well, in this section, I'm going to be talking about games. Yeah. I would like to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles next time. I was planning to finish watching all the way to the end, but I didn't manage to, because I was actually playing games instead more because I was sick. So I'll let you know what I thought about the ending. Apparently the ending is really, really good. So heads up for that too. I actually played a game. I played Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and this is some spoilers. And this game, you need to be going in blind. I am stressing it to you, or you won't feel the same surprise and delight as much as I did. So, I don't know, mute your ears for a few minutes. Spoilers, please play this if you got access to the Wii U, and, I'm gonna start talking about spoilery things, so, wow, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, yeah! I was incredibly delighted at the surprises thrown at me. Playing between Toad and Toadette was so wonderful, so good. It's such a bonus when you go to episode 3 and you're, oh wow, there's another episode, another whole set of levels, because they keep releasing, like, episode 3 is the last one, of course, but you get to play the Toad Brigade as a whole, all 4 Toads, and if any of them gets hit by something once, it's a one-hit kill, and usually you get a second chance, like it's 2 hits before you get killed, so, and now that there's more of you to be, more space, how would I phrase this, more Toads to worry about, to avoid getting hit, it's so hard now, and I died so much at that tower level, the one with the Chemex, annoying attacks, and the pipes going up the tower, yeah, that one. I died in game over like a handful of times, and I was mad, and it was testing my patience, but I fought through it, and it felt so satisfying. It's not that hard as I describe it to be, because I'm just pointing this level out because all the rest was delightful, it was fun. Usually when you think oh, this is easy, and then when you get the hang of it and you start getting, this is more the same. A new surprise gets flung at you, and you get all happy and fun again. So I laughed so much and squealed so much in joy at that game. It's so underrated. And mind you, we haven't really finished all the levels because there's a set of levels where you have to do all the challenge tasks for every level before, from all the episodes, before you can unlock them. And me and my brother our reaction to that was, nope, not now. Not now, game. It's too hard right now. Because the things they ask you to do to get that final little, achievement thing for each level is, get an X number of coins or find the secret golden mushroom or something like that. And most of the time, we can't even find it or get that much money. We need a break from that game, but it's a good game. Good game. Okay, the next game I want to talk about. Strength of the Sword Ultimate Kickstarter. That Kickstarter looks great. It seems like Dark Souls, but with more precision. Art looks so amazing, and it's just by two dudes who are incredibly blunt and awesome in their Kickstarter approach, because they do it in comic form and they're really cool. And the humor there. And my brother's gonna get it, and he got a copy for me too, so we could play. I don't know. If he did, that's fine too. I'll just watch him play. But I'm looking forward to that. It's a good game, and it's maybe kickstarted by now, by this point. But the next game I'd like to talk about, Game of Thrones Episode 2. Now there will be spoilers for this episode. Yes, again. I'm sure that the books are apparently better than the TV series. I'm not sure if this game is also better than the TV series. I have no idea. I have no clue about the TV series or the books. Don't please be kind to me. I don't know. But I can talk about this game though. And when Ethan died, it was a big, shocking cliffhanger. That's one of the main characters. He just killed him. Oh gosh. And then in episode 2, when you realize that Roger didn't die from that big horse avalanche, it's like, yes, you didn't die. What is it with Jon Snow's lips with this game? He looks really weird, and he stands out in the context of the other characters in the game, and he seems like he's everyone's idol for some reason. I don't know what's the fuss with, aside from him living at the wall and being stuck to obligation or something. So, anyway. The illusion of choice in this game is there, of course, but the story is so engaging and you go along with it anyway. I think episode 2 is generally better, maybe, because it's less all over the place and you know what's going on. And the end song for the funeral is beautiful. In terms of choice, in this game though, you can be a jerk or you can be nice, but since it's Game of Thrones, you're always second guessing because you don't know if you're getting taken advantage of or you're risking your own life and you're gonna get yourself killed. So it's really a fine line and context for a game, I think. I don't know what's happening next. I have no clue. I'm just gonna go in with the ride with this game. And yes, this game does get you humming the Game of Thrones theme. And I'm not gonna try, but sometimes in my head it comes up. So it's been a good, entertaining watch. Okay, the next game I would like to talk about is The Order 1886. I think loads of people have talked about this game enough. I don't think I should talk much about it, but because I haven't played the game, what would I know? Yeah, what do I know? I hear things and all that, but when I saw the ending and saw that it was a quick time last boss, and the way it ended, it made it only then it felt interesting to me. It's like, oh, is this the beginning of British Batman? I don't know. That was the vibe I got. And it looks really good. All the 3D assets look good and amazing, and it's a world you can get lost in. It's a convincing world. I'm not gonna talk about the fact that it's 6 hours. It's not that important. It's more about it's a fun game to play. According to some, it feels like an add to the next game instead. Rather, like it feels like a long demo for the next game instead of an actual game in itself. But to be fair, it looks all that detail looks good. Yeah. Okay. The next game I'd like to talk about is Deadly Premonition, and I am looking forward to watching it a third time. Yes, third time. With another person playing it through. This game is so weird and entertaining, and quirky, and disturbing and uncomfortable to watch. I don't know. No, I haven't seen Twin Peaks, though I know that this game is heavily. It's just that it's so weird and gives you a lot of things. And that Life is Beautiful, or also known as Twin Theme is. But that's what I got to say with that game. I find that game entertaining to watch. Okay, the next game I'd like to talk about. Fit In. Now, I've actually linked this game in the show notes, so have a look at that. It's a free game, have a play. It's a game with a message. It's a little game, and it's executed really well, and it does have an end once you figure it out. So, have a play. I liked it. And next game, Armello. Yeah. I don't get to play it much because I usually have to, time it away so that my brother can play with me. But, my third time, I won finally through Spirit Stones. So, at the time, I was declaring to everyone playing that, oh, I'm going to heal the king. But it turns out that healing king, curing the king from rot actually kills him. So, I was surprised, but not surprised, if that makes sense. I'm not surprised in that, hey, this is a game where everyone's fighting for the throne, so of course he has to die. But another part of me is thinking, hey, I thought we can, I can permanently be, at the king's side and not kill the king. It didn't work out, but I won, so it's a win-win situation. Yeah, I talk about this game a lot. If you're into board games, have a look at that. The next game, Five Nights at Freddy's 3. It's essentially a stress game, but I think what makes it popular, it's not because of the streaming and, how a lot of YouTubers are doing it. No, I don't. Yeah, that plays a part, yes, but it's become so popular because of its story as well. I personally found the story fascinating. And all the little Easter eggs and, hidden things and the creator has put into his 3 games, and I know that this is the last game, and I'm glad. Don't overdo it, even though it can be argued that 3 games is already too much. He is bordering on that. And I do think, yes, that a part of it is also because people like to watch other people suffer by playing this game, because this game is not fun. It's a game where you're on edge, tense, and these kinds of games aren't for me because I play games for the fun, for the story, or both, ideally. But fun and the story, and I do find it fascinating how popular it's. And good on the game dev for taking advantage of it and expanding on it. He had it all well planned, I think, with all the little tidbits he adds in his games. Anyway, a game that I actually played is The Legend of Zelda. A Link Between Worlds. I finally finished this game. I started last year, and I was getting my left hand strained because of it. Excel thing is, and I have tiny hands, and that thing is for big hands. So, in a way, I don't know how I'm holding it or what I'm doing wrong, but it makes my hand hurt for a while. Too long and stop playing the Zelda game, unfortunately. And now I can actually play it because I can the normal regular sized 3DS and felt good. The ending lacked a little bit because knowing that I don't think that they will make a sequel for this game, wanted a little bit more to the ending, but I was happy. I was generally pleased. It was easy, the bosses were generally easy. There were some challenging points, but then you overcome them. I had fun, and the final boss felt real good. I treated it like a rhythm game at one point because of the tennis, And I was amused when you get to use arrows again and get to shoot it at his belly or lower regions. I have no idea. And then you actually shoot it at his bottom. So it's like, ooh, okay. It's just a toony thing, so it's okay. But I was thinking, isn't that the region where it doesn't shine? Anyway, I found this game fun. Yeah, I was happy, and I actually was surprised by the end, by the reveal, one of the reveals. Not by the fact that not the fact by Hilda, Princess Hilda, but someone else. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it does anything new, obviously, but anyway, the next game I watched is Ori and the Blind Forest, and just started watching it. Now, the intro, I actually watched it before, like when they had a trailer out, and it was, superb storytelling packed to the intro, and you could just get that and treat it like a short film and put it into festivals and stuff. It will do great. But having it as a game really reaches more people than film festivals would. So such a beautiful and well executed game. A lot of storytelling feels, and I'll probably watch more of it past the beginning and starting levels. So I might talk all about it next month. I'm going back into the future now. The last game I'd like to talk about. Mother 3 again. I'm talking about it again because it's wonderful. It still feels like it's underrated, even though it has a huge following. And it's a game heart that you gush over due to its deep connection and subtle approach to loss. And a game that I wish didn't end, but it ended at the right time. It ended well. It ended good. It didn't overstay its welcome. It's a JRPG. Kind of non-traditional sense, I guess it's not that traditional, no. This game, it allowed me to cry a while, as it reminded me of my own mother the first time I played it. And I played it, I don't know, several years ago. It's much better, in my opinion, than Earthbound, or also known as Mother 2, because I connected to it so much more. I mean, I played Mother, Earthbound, or also known as Mother 2, and Mother 3. I played all three games, and overall, I still enjoy Mother 3. Such a close connection to your characters. It's just, so good. So good, it's so underrated. And I really want to thank those people who translated it into English. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to. And that's all I got to say about games this month. Yes, it's time to get serious. Not serial, serious. Now, the following story time, I recorded all 2 hours and a half in one go, but I planned the whole thing over several days. It was a long time. And there's 4 parts instead of the original planned 3, because the 4th, which will be released in June and be made in June, will be the afterword. And any questions and answers, Q&A or thoughts or suggestions or whatever I gather that directly relates to the storyline. Feel free to send in your questions and thoughts. So here we go. Story time. Before I go on with story time with Leonie, yeah, it's me. Why am I telling this now? After, a handful of years later. Especially, it's something personal to me in the past. Well, the thing is, even at the start of changing careers, I've been thinking all this time, I want to talk about this, but I don't know how, and I was thinking of writing about it or drawing about it, doing an illustration about it. But then I wasn't really keen in those two forms alone. I didn't feel ready. And then this podcast came about, but I made this podcast with the intention, as I've said on a million times before, I just want to talk, and because people kept telling me to talk more, and I'm so quiet all the time, and mysterious, and blah blah blah, and then my problem is that I am more interested in listening to other people's stories, rather than talking about my own story over and over, and that's an excuse, I know. So here I am, trying to talk more, mission talk more, hashtag, whatever that silly hashtag is. And here I am, just talking in my own terms, and scratching my head for topics to talk about. I am terrible at small talk. I'm not too bad at talking to myself, which is what I'm doing right now. And maybe I'll, graduate to actually talking with other people. Who knows? And then this came out, I'm like, maybe this is the right time to actually talk about my teaching career, rather than hint about it or generalize about my teaching career to other people, which I have done. I haven't completely pretended it didn't happen. And hopefully before listening to this, you actually had a look at my show notes as well. Anywho, the main reason why I am talking about my teaching career in itself is because I want to let it be known. I want to rant about it. I have strong opinions about this. If you disagree with my views, that is completely fine. Just don't impose your views upon me. I am not trying to impose my views upon you. I'm happy for debate if you would like to, but I am happy to respectfully agree to disagree. But anyway, I want to rant about it, and then I shall move on. And because I don't really have a desire to dwell on the past, and I don't really want to put the effort to actually draw or write a formal novel or book or something for this. Even now, I'm reading from dot points. And I'm actually reading from 20 pages, aka 9,500 words of dot points. So this is not a short story time, and that is why I have broken it up into 3 episodes. I am still a private sort of person, mind you, especially with things of the present. And this teaching career was a chapter of my life that still means a lot to me. I mean, I still have a huge bookshelf of teaching materials that are just collecting dust. But a handful of years have passed, and I don't plan to make it a topic to avoid. I am actually passionate about this subject. But I have been and am happy to leave it in the past, because I don't really plan to return to high school teaching. And who knows, maybe a few of you might find my experiences and thoughts interesting. What would I know? Oh, another reason is that I kind of enjoy hearing the stories of others, but it's not fair when I don't talk about my own. And as my late mother says, behind every person is a story. Here we are with a chapter of mine. Not obviously my whole life story, because you don't want to go there. And anyway, I was a different person back then compared to now. In summary, I guess it's me saying, hey, this is part of my past, which took part in how I am today. And look at me, I'm now an awkward, silly freelance artist doing a podcast. Anyway, so another disclaimer. I know this is a lot of introduction for something, but it's a huge story time, and I need to make sure these things are said before I begin. If anyone from my period of life of teaching listens to this, colleagues, teachers, and my students or ex-students, you're all adults now by now. I probably don't know you that well, but I strive to keep it all anonymous, so I have no ill will against any of you, and please note I will recall and relive the feelings I felt at the time as I tell the story. Ultimately, it's all self-loathing because deep inside I was young, and it was all a series of my own choices in the end. It's nothing against you personally or anyone I came across during that time of life, and I think teachers in general are amazing in what they do. I'll meet a few of you again someday, but that is highly unlikely given that, number one, I am a hermit, and number two, we don't really have anything in common anymore. Given that you are listening to this right now, before you move on, I highly suggest you to read a blog post I did a year ago, linked in the show notes. It was when I did that DreamWorks video blog thing, that embarrassing thing that I did, where I was talking to myself, and I think was when the thorn was taken out at last, where I actually talked about my mother's cancer battle. And the really old me would be horrified that the present me is linking to this at all, but I am not ashamed because that was and is how things are. If you haven't already or you need a refresher, have a quick skim or read if you'd like to know about my personal circumstances, a little insight on my upbringing and how I've been stumbling on my own. When I read that blog post again recently, I was thinking, hey, I still struggle today. As anyone does with life. Life is full of challenges. But I'm a much happier... ignore that. I'm a much happier person now. And I'm terribly grateful. Now, here in this story time, I will be going deeper and I shall talk about my high school teaching career that follows on, as well with all my opinions on education. Experience with me on this roller coaster ride, this train wreck, as you will see all the reasons why high school teaching does not suit me at all, and yet I, against all odds, I stubbornly still keep going. What is this silly pride I have? I don't know what I'm doing. Great. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is, okay, there's a long story time that this is 6 years-ish of my life after all. So I've broken it up into over 3 months. And because it took time to get myself into the visiting the past, I have recorded this whole story time in one go already. So, maybe it's best for you to respond to this story time 3 episodes have aired. I don't know, it's up to you. Or you can give me feedback along the way. I'm happy to listen to your feedback either way. Now, what you can do in terms of, hey, what's the question for the day or the month? Well, what you can do, of course, is to listen. Keep listening as you're working or doing whatever you're doing right now, and maybe reflect back on your own past choices, the good and bad times up to you. And the question will be the same for these 3 months. What are your thoughts and conclusions from listening? That's basically the thing I'd like you to... Did you get anything out of this story time? If you're brave enough, share one of your stories with us, or just with me if you want to keep it private. Don't make it clear by default, because I will assume it's okay for me to pick out and talk about your response in the Derpcast. So, make it clear to me. Don't want to respect your wishes here, but I might not have the answers. Anyway, that is an incredibly long intro, but I felt that it was needed. Here goes. Story time with Leonie. Finally, it begins. When art was a hobby and teaching was a career. Part 1. The decision and the self-delusion. Okay, when I was 15, there was a computer program that helped you decide on career pathways depending on how you answered their questions. I'm sure maybe some of you have done this kind of thing before, where you need to do this career thing and fill out all these forms and learn how to do resumes and CVs and interviews and all that stuff about the real world, air quotes, when it's really a touch of the iceberg. Anyway, as with anyone, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a serious profession. All I know is that I am great at following directions. As bad as that sounds, I am keen to learn, I do what I'm told, I like tackling challenges and solving problems, basically. Typical, get the right answer kind of thing. That will change later on, but All I knew is that I enjoyed drawing the most. Many artists can relate. I get incredibly lost with time when a challenge or task is placed in front of me. In contrast to what I get from my own family, I entered art competitions and hey, my t-shirt design got into the year level. Actually became a t-shirt. It was kind of like a mushy design. But anyway, I entered art competitions when teachers encouraged me to, and obviously my ego was boosted by my own teachers and classmates. It felt great at being one of the people being known for something at my year level. Then again, my year level, it's not that big actually. That's another story. This is already long enough. Anyway, of course from the onset, I have been told from the onset, what is my notes? Anyway, I have been told from the onset what I should be doing, and accounting was a career suggestion that was pushed into my face a lot. That made me hate it even more. So when I filled those career questions for this career pathway quiz, it gave me a list of career suggestions in order of preference. And guess what I got? I had loads of artist suggestions and designing kind of roles suggested to me as my top preferences, of course. And I even wrote I wanted to work at Pixar. Pixar. Something along the gist of that with a lot of exclamation marks at the end of that statement. That was one of my answers to the career quiz questions. I was incredibly excited at that notion as it put a big smile on my face. Don't we all want to be ambitious and be part of something bigger than ourselves? Especially when you're young, and you believe that anything was possible. I mean, it is, but I don't know. It's not as fun as people tremendously good and hard. Anyway, but back then I was a 15-year-old. Drawing was a fun thing to do, and I liked doing appealing characters and fan art from the things I watched or read. Basically, things that interest me. Unfortunately, when I printed my results, I was due to do my career pathways meeting, and I knew I had to decide. I had to decide my first career path. I knew that people change careers at least 5 times in their lifetime. That was a statistic thrown into my face a lot too. But still at this point, I knew I had to decide something to, begin somewhere. And I, at that point, decided to crush my dreams and put it aside. The lack of family support and explicit pressure and conditioning to do something else more financially stable, certain and rewarding was incredibly strong. Even my relatives were the same and added their voices in. I was basically surrounded by people who told me to not do what I want to do. Now I stress that their concern on the creative industry is valid. It's incredibly tough, and most people won't be able to make a substantial living without doing something else to get by or by changing careers entirely in order to keep their passion alive. There's much more hard work and challenges than you can ever imagine. It is a terribly saturated industry with increasingly more people willing to work for free and vying for the same opportunities, as well as experienced professionals going for the little pool of well-sorted roles as well. And though there are more wonderful startup businesses, there aren't really much jobs to go around. As with any difficult industry, it gets fiercely competitive more than ever as the years go by, as countless of aspiring creators and entrepreneurs graduate. And yet things keep evolving and changing. Opportunities come up. So it's a world of uncertainty. So a very exciting and scary career path. Sometimes it's better to do something you enjoy on the side in order to protect what you love doing. And those who are able to pull this off are equally amazing. I'm not pulling that path. There's nothing bad in that either. And this was what I was attempting to do. Well, not that well. And I guess this is why I relate to the Disney movie Mulan, because I can strongly relate to her ordeal with having to honor the family and not disappoint your family and all that traditional value stuff and thinking about the family rather than yourself. Okay, back to this point.
back to when I was 15 years old. As a 15-year-old, I was raised to be respectful, aka obedient. So I sometimes battle with that. And it seemed like I had to become one of the eventual main breadwinners for the family, as I was the oldest, and I truly believed my family that art making was impossible. It was a dead end. And their conditioning fed into my fear of failure extremely well. Really, really well. In trying for art at all. There was a sense that my existence, my very existence, was privilege in itself. Hey, everyone doesn't really get what they want, and that's a fact. It's a privilege I am here, and I understood that. My parents worked incredibly hard and suffered many hardships, so that food, shelter, and being born in Australia was possible. I felt like I needed to make up to my family, especially in light of my mother's battle with cancer. So I believed, and I was encouraged to believe, that I was being wise, I was being stable, smart about my career choices. Oh gosh. It may work for many people, but you will see how it didn't work for me. Here we go. Here goes the beginning of my self-delusion. I believed that I would never do what I enjoyed doing, and decided something else I believed in. I figured that I'll let art remain as a hobby, with the understanding that, and truth, that it's difficult to make a living out of that. But I was lost as to what else I can do. What else am I good at? So at the time I looked well laid down of my career suggestions, and it was weird. Party organizer and weird things like that, and I am not a party person. And so I kept looking down, and then I saw English high school teacher. And I thought, hey, teaching's, and it feels meaningful. So I lied to my career teacher that I wanted to do this. And I insisted, yes, this is what I want to do, with my poker face on. But the real question is, wait, why did teaching catch your eye? Besides you saying that it's meaningful. Well, I didn't want to do accounting as a profession. As much as it's being pushed at my face, and as much as I wanted to respect my parents, I don't want to do what I'm told to do to the very dot. And yet I still wanted to please my parents in some way. Conflicting, I know. So I wanted to do something else that seemed financially stable, but still favourable in their eyes. Also has meaning and felt doable for me. Teaching felt right. And also, I believed in learning so much. I was a nerd. Sometimes I competed with my study buddies, and I learned best on my own, aka living in the library. While talking and helping plus getting help afterwards reinforces even better knowledge and all that, as it always does, because it comes with different opinions, approaches, and you get support. And I had high school teachers that were so encouraging to me. Intelligent. I can debate on that, but it's up to you to figure that out. Apparently I'm intelligent, but I don't know. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know anything. Anyway, they told me that I'll get the top highest score possible due to my work ethic and diligence, and called me out when I was burning myself out studying. Ultimately, they had a part in instilling my love for learning in me. Another part of that is because, hey, I don't want to let my mother down. That was another part in why I worked so hard. I don't consider myself a wizard with English and mathematics, but they are wonderful, wonderful fields. And they played a huge part in my value in critical thinking, problem solving, the wondrous things to do with patterns, the ability to seek to understand, articulating and communicating what you mean, and storytelling, the magic of storytelling. History was another wonderful subject, but I couldn't keep going with it. And unfortunately, I am not a fictional character called Hermione with a magical time turner device, so that I can learn as much things as I want. No, I cannot do that. Though I actually dreamed that I had that device one time. I was like, yes, I can learn everything. That's just a fantasy. Anyway, I wasn't sure how I would be able to instill a love of learning in others, and it's teenagers we're talking about here. Especially, and also, I wasn't really a people/extroverted kind of person. But somehow, my adolescent brain dismissed all that, because I could not think of any other thing I'm willing to do as an actual career, or as my first career, if I were to correct myself. And I had to promise my mother to never do art and do accounting instead. So, and then she passed away that same year. In year 12, in air quotes, I had a go at accounting without doing year 11. I didn't do year 11 accounting at all, and I dropped year 12 literature response to my mother's passing. And yes, my year 12 accounting teacher thought I was crazy. That said, I would be fine. And I was thinking, no, I am not fine, but I'm doing this anyway. So what I did during accounting was that I struggled and I just fought my way through that subject. Because accounting it has been hard. I really don't think in that way, and all the jargon confounded me. But I believed that I had to follow on with my promise. At least give accounting a good go before I completely refused to do accounting altogether. And as a side note, my year 12 accounting teacher was sneaky, and she found out about my mother's passing then. She was so kind to give me a big hug, to my surprise, and I really appreciated that. Genuine hugs, as long as it's not creepy, that is. And she told me that she was at the end of her cancer battle herself, and I wished her all the best at the time. I was just saying, you keep battling that cancer, you cool lady, you. Well, I didn't say that. She's my teacher. I didn't actually say that, but that's what I thought in my head. Sadly, it turns out years later, I found out from a classmate that she was battling cancer again as a single mother, and she passed away, and she lost her battle a couple of years since I left high school. I wasn't surprised though. Is that bad? I wasn't surprised that it ended that way, but okay, let's move on. To give you the overall picture in preparation for getting into university, I actually studied both literature and English, so it was double the amount of poetry, Shakespeare texts, and novels, I remember. I also did the two hardest mathematics subjects, switched out literature for accounting, as I mentioned before, and I did visual communication and design, which I scored the most on, and found it the most easy and enjoyable unit I ever did. I enjoyed all my subjects though. Well, I'm not sure about maths. I was practically, and I don't remember anything. But my really, really good teachers recognized I worked hard, and they had high hope for me, as I said. I did heaps of all-nighters, which bit me back in my butt, because I was always groggy and falling asleep. I was falling asleep when I was just sitting there and listening. Don't learn this way. Do not do this. And ultimately I didn't score enough overall to become an English high school teacher. I think I missed by 3.25 points in order to apply to become English high school / course. So close and yet so far. It wasn't a big blow to me though, as I went for teaching mathematics and IT instead with my high school final score, whatever you call it, GPA, or I don't know. No, it's not GPA. GPA is tertiary, is university score. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about high school. Okay, forget that. I was set for a career in the end. I was set for a career I'm not completely passionate in, and I wasn't sure if I was good at it. I was heading into a career blindly and hoping for the best. Teenage Leonie thinking, I don't know. But I'm guessing, I think I remember, I thought my mindset was, how would I know if it's right for me or not if I never tried? If I never tried it, how would I know? So I can't really fault that logic. Still, So I worked hard at university. If I go back on track, this is a conversation kind of thing, okay? And I learned the theory behind how to teach, how people typically learn, how teenagers are fickle, Because they're trying to find themselves. They're trying to find a direction. And that is what I am doing at the very moment, at the time. And I also learned some psychology units and some social science units, and loads of essays and research, and a whole heap of reading, and lastly, a whole heap of computer science units and university level mathematics. And it was here where I discovered the fun in recreational mathematics on the side. So much puzzles and philosophies. The frustrating but satisfying fun in problem solving from programming, and I saw the ways that people learn and teach in actual, and also how I still struggle to relate and find friends. In terms of the subjects themselves, both programming and mathematics subjects were heavy with male classmates, and almost all of the time they kept to themselves, so it was really lonely. There were times where I did have to do partner work, but it was awkward. And while I was studying teaching units, it was mostly packed with extroverted go-getters and great potential teachers and leaders. I couldn't seem to find much friends or fit in either, so I almost always kept to myself. But I did bother my tutor when I had to. I want to learn, man. or lady, or other. And it's a constant theme in my life. The struggle to find friends and fit in somewhere. It's always a constant theme here. And yes, I did get hit on by, just a few times, but it was either in a really creepy way, or it's I did this nice thing for you, now get together with me kind of vibe. Or, you don't want to be my girlfriend? Well, I think you're average looking. I am having none of that. I am not having any of that nice guy business. I don't want to go into this topic. That is another topic on its own, so I'll move on. But to this day, there is one classmate and friend who is still from my teaching degree. She's now a teacher, doing amazing things, and she supports me from afar. And you know who you are, so I'm going to give you a big special thank you to you, because to me she is an inspiring go-getter of many creative and sporty skills. She is so, I don't have a word for it. She has so many things she can do that I can't. It's like, wow, are you a human? You do so many things. Anyway, so I do have one friend in the end, and who is still my friend to this day. So that's one thing that I got from a teaching career, and I'm grateful for that. With the teaching placements where I taught, where I had to teach with a supervising teacher nearby, these experiences were supposed to be a red flag, because my mentors were neutral about me as a teacher, and they weren't really that impressed, especially when the students are also working against me. And during this time, I was teaching maths. I also taught some science subjects. I also taught things like Excel and IT, and ignore that beep, and that website development. Let me start again. Aside from maths, I also taught things like Excel and IT and website development. I even failed one placement at a school because I lacked that leadership / authoritative quality needed to set rebellious teenagers on track. And as a result of that, I actually had to do another placement where I demonstrated my ability to do a death glare. Apparently I'm good at death glares, but I use them sparingly, so beware. Anyway, even all those skeptical looks and polite vague feedback I got from my mentors did not wake me up that teaching and managing teenagers wasn't for me. At my placements, I was fine with the subject matter with IT and mathematics and the theory behind learning and teaching. At one point I was actually being tested on whether I can explain what a vector was. There was testing to see, do I actually know mathematics at all? By the textbook or something like that. And I believe that the main issue with me is I am constantly struggling managing and teaching teenagers. And yet, at this point, I was convinced that if you work hard enough and fake it, you will make it. And that I needed to seek a school environment that suited me. That was the advice I was given. Because they noted that I lacked so much confidence throughout the whole experience. I wasn't sure if I belonged, but then I don't know what else I could do. So finally, I graduated university, my first double degree, and I was not hopeful during my job hunt efforts and interviews, and yet, for some miraculous reason, I landed a job due to a miracle, or maybe not a miracle, I have no idea. And on the phone, when I received the phone call, I sensed that I actually wasn't their first choice, because they immediately thought that I was going to reject them, that I was going to decline their job offer, which was concerning in itself. So, when I actually landed a job, I got the phone call and said yes, I was on my own, and I was responsible in handling 5 to 6 classrooms full of teens on a daily basis with no supervising teacher. And apparently it wasn't an ideal school for some people, as this is a school where most students were apathetic about education the more they got older. And those who are keen students, they usually leave for another school. That was the general sense I got from the onset. It was like, Leonie, welcome and wake up to the real world.
Well, and that's the end. Next month I'll probably talk about first year teaching. Anyway, the new section. Next section. Words for the month. Well, the words for today, for this month will be three. With 3 of them. The first of them would be logomaniac. One who is obsessively interested in words. Now, I put this word in because I am bordering on doing that. Yeah, but then I'm kind of selective. I'm just doing 3 at a time here. So, logomaniac. So, logo and maniac. So, crazy about logos, if you were going to be literal about this word. The next word is polymathy. Poly and mathy, I guess. It's spelled as Polymathy. Polymathy. It means learning in many fields, encyclopedic knowledge. And I chose this word because poly means many, and mathy means, I don't know, maths? I have no idea. But, knowledge, I guess, I don't know. But I'm not good at doing learning in many fields thing. But do we all try? In order to get by with life. So I found this interesting word because it has the word math in it. Yes, I admit it. A third word is belie. B-E-L-I-E. So this means to show, to be false, to contradict. And the example that this definition I got from the internet says, his trembling hands belied his calm voice. So belie, it's like being a lie, or that's how I read it. I don't know, belie? This is an interesting word. I don't, like, these 3 words I don't even use at all, so this is why I picked them out, and they looked interesting, or at least at the time. So, generally, the 3 words I've chosen is logomaniac, polymathy, and belie. Words for the month. Q&A, 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 Q&A. Hello, this is Q&A. I don't know what that jingle was, I just thought it might make it more fun. Overall, I did get a few supportive words from a few people. I don't know, one or two of you, I think, yeah. And some likes on the podcast. So thank you so much for that. And you know who you are. Virtual hugs to you. Because it keeps me going and it lets me know that someone out there cares. Because, hey, I'm an isolated hermit and lonely, if I were to be honest about it. So, it helps me get by, I guess. In a way. It helps a bit. It also helps me keep going with this talking thing. I don't claim to be good at this, but I'm doing this anyway. I need to practice. Even if it is talking to myself. I guess I'm going to get better at talking to myself, at least. Yeah. Now, for this episode's Q&A, I got 2 kind, thoughtful responses. I picked these 2 because it felt like a drawn-out conversation between us, and to be honest, I didn't really have that much responses to begin with, so let's say these 2 are the special early ones, like this early in the podcast. So here goes. The first one. This message was actually from Facebook, from Mark Ponchek. Apparently I'm saying his name right, so I'm saying his last name right. So, and apparently it means donut. So, Mark Donut, hello. Hi, Mark Donut. No, I'm kidding. I don't mean to offend you. No. I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry. I didn't. Okay. I don't know if I should read out his message because I don't know if he will be happy with that or not. I don't know. But it is public anyway, so I'll paraphrase what he's saying. Okay. So this is what he's saying. He didn't expect me to mention him, and he's saying thanks. Okay. My response to that is, of course. You were the one who responded thoughtfully, and so here you are again. I'm replying to you through the podcast again. So, hello. Are you going to be a regular? I have no idea. I'm not forcing anyone. I'm not imposing on you at all either, but I'm just wondering, are you going to be a regular? It's starting to look like. And then he goes on to say, and you talk about Silent Hill too. Instant sub. He's a Silent Hill fanatic. Thank you, Mark. I have another anonymous YouTube sub now. Yay! I think I got 4 right now. I don't really know who subs, actually, so I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me. So, hey, hello, the only known YouTube subscriber, I guess. Hello. And then he goes on to say, great job on the podcast. He thinks it's a great length. And he thinks it's good that I'm more loose with the recording, and a lot of my hermit life's talk in financial frugality he relates to, and he wants to hear more about my art and what I like and my process. And he thinks I should keep doing them, and he thinks it's great. Oh, Mark, well, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much for the very, very encouraging and kind feedback, and great to know that I'm not alone in all that on Hermit. Right now, in terms of the podcast length, I'm settling with whatever I need to say, and however long it will take, the first run, me recording this podcast, actually, if I were to actually, if it was successful, it will actually turn out to be a 1 hour and a half podcast, this episode. So I don't know if it's getting longer, or because the silences aren't getting cut out in that take, but I don't know how long this take will be. Probably shorter with all the silences cut out. But I'm rambling, yes. But in short, I am not planning how long this podcast will be. I'm not, because I usually say what I need to say and then that's it. So if it takes an hour and a half, so be it. If it takes 30 minutes, so be it. But I just end it when I feel it's a good time. In terms of your suggestion for, talking more about my art and what I like and my process, I'll probably do it after this long 4-part story time is done. But thank you so much for the suggestion. I will take that on, and it will be on the drawing board for a future episode. So thanks you. And then and then Mark goes on to say that I'll be the next Bobby Chew in no time, and then he has a link to one of Bobby Chew's wonderful videos. And I've linked that also in the show notes if you're interested. Well, Mark, I don't believe I'll be anywhere near that level of influence, but thank you. Bobby is an incredibly inspiring person, and if I could be a tiny, tiny fraction closer each time to what he does, that would be awesome. Ultimately, I'm doing this so that I'll talk more and maybe, ban my comfort zone and all that, but that's thinking too far ahead, I think, but inspiring person. And then Mark goes on to say that if you're interested in more Silent Hill stuff, Mark has linked. I'll also link that as well in the show notes. He has Silent Hill 2 edited as a movie, and also a playthrough that Guy Seehee, or the voice actor of James Sunderland, the original actor for the main character, he plays Silent Hill 2 for the first time. Actually, he watches someone play, and how he talks more of the deep messages and how he felt during the time when he did all that acting. Thank you so much for those links, Mark. Thank you for the message. And yes, as I said, I'll put all those links, and I also added Guy Seehee's YouTube channel link and Facebook page as well. Through his playthrough that I watched, it was really interesting. He has such a wonderful voice to listen to, and it was quite interesting to know that the lead ending for Silent Hill 2 is his favorite, and how it relates exactly to his own life during his failing marriage at the time, and his thoughts on suicide. It's so great how he jokes and reaches out with it to his fans, and I also learned that through his playthrough that Japan has no chainsaws because they don't need it. So when he had to mocap and act it out, he had to compromise by making cardboard that he can use to pretend to use the chainsaw, and all those motions that come with using a chainsaw, because the Japanese developers apparently don't know how a chainsaw works. So, wow, that's interesting. Apparently, Guy is also voice acting a new game as well, with heavy Silent Hill vibe. And there's a lot of amusing jokes on pillow fight as well, with the pillow. That's heavily linking to the ending of Silent Hill 2. You'll see what I'm talking about on his. If you're interested to know more, have a look. In general, I really appreciate the Silent Hill series. I'm sick, okay? I'm sick. Okay, what was I saying? I really appreciate Silent Hill as a series, but I'm so easily. I didn't have to, grow up with it, but, because for example, in Half-Life 2, when I did play that ages ago, I didn't fare well at Ravenholm level at all, because I didn't know that you can use the gravity gun to just saw the zombies fast and efficiently, like chop all the zombies up. If I had known that, it would be so easy and fun, but no, I didn't know, and I didn't fare well at that level, and it's the anticipation of jump scares. Not the jump scares themselves, of course, but the anticipation that really got too much, and I kept saying, no, during the whole level, and I had to stop. Well, in terms of nowadays, the horror genre is so overdone, so it's really, really rare to see so well done in both storytelling and gameplay like in Silent Hill 2. As I said in the last episode, why it's a cult. Anywho, thank you so much, Mark, for your response. Thank you. They're awesome. And I've also linked to Mark's, and I made it all fancy in that I said, "Who is a concept artist? What is that? Concept artist and illustrator." I just needed to state what he is as well. So, have a look at his work. Okay, the next one, is my first Hermit Derp email, and it's from Zubs. I won't use his real name because I have a feeling that he doesn't want his real name. It's Zubs. Z-U-B-S-Z. It's actually, he actually sent this on February, and I missed that, as I said, because I didn't know the emails weren't forwarding it to me, so I deeply apologize for missing it, but I am reading about it right now, so I hope that makes up for it. He wrote me a very well written and concise email. And so here in this email, it's kind of a little late, but he's referring to the first episode I did, and I'll link them again. Associate blog post for that episode. And in terms of the story time he's talking about here is that story where I got my artwork run over. What he's saying. Okay, so his email says that he's really liking the podcast, and the whole determine a moral for the story time was interesting. He found it interesting to hear about my creative process as well. And his meaning of the story is that sometimes, in his words, things may seem and imposing or even important ultimately mean only as much as the receiver feels they mean. And then he goes on to say that he might be off the mark, and I have to say no to that. In general, I need to respond to this. Thank you so much, Zubs. I'm happy you like my podcast so far. Thank you. Your moral is on point, and it's definitely why I started asking for morals. Because your moral also applies to why I'm asking for morals in the first place. Because we all have different interpretations of the same thing, and I find that fascinating. And I like to learn from what people see. And I don't see what other people see, of course. So I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your take on. Please don't say you're off the mark. There is no wrong answer here at all. No. Okay, so Zubs keeps going to say, keep up the good work. He says that he's been a fan of mine. He had a DeviantArt account. And then he lists his old username and wonders if I remember him. And goes on to say, although your art was fantastic then, it's amazing to see how it evolved. And sorry I missed the deadline. I forgot about the time zone differences. You are so terribly kind, Zubs. And for these kind compliments, thank you. Yes, it has been a long while. And I do remember you. You are from the US. And we talked a while back when I was still active on DeviantArt. I remember you giving me a blunt no when I mentioned I liked being silly and with my Mario and Luigi stereotypical imitations. I remember you. No, don't worry about deadlines and time zones. I'm talking about your email right now, so it's late, yes, but it's not no big deal. But lastly, a big thank you, Zobs. I wasn't expecting such encouraging words for you to reach out to me. So, thank you. Okay, how would I end this section? I removed the 2 weeks limit, but it's usually a good time frame, 2 weeks, before I actually start making the next episode. And if I miss out on any responses, it's either because I did read it, but I didn't have time to include it, or I already made my podcast and I could include your response in time. It's either one. But anyway, to all of you listening, feel free to ask questions. I will credit you, and if you provide it, link to your website in the show notes if I happen to pick yours. Email at the hermitderpcast@gmail.com. hermitderpcast@gmail.com. Or comment in this blog post below. And if you don't want to be talked about in the Derpcast, that's fine too, just let me know. Questions for the month. So, in terms of story time, there will be a lot of things. There's things of education, teaching, career choices, art as a career hobby, all of that good stuff. So keep sending in thoughts, suggestions, and questions related to the story time today and over these 4 months. And I will answer them in June in part 4. So keep them coming. Keep responding to them as I go, as I release each part. Or I welcome it. Also, questions on anything else in today's episode are also welcome, and I will get to them for the next episode. In terms of specific questions, just in case you have forgotten, or you need a reminder, do you have any thoughts on the games I talked about? Am I talking about game segment, or any thoughts on other things I talked about? What are your thoughts on the horror game? horror genre of games, or on Silent Hill, or Resident Evil, or basically a lot of horror games out there. What are your thoughts? Are you jaded? Are you tired of them? Are you bored of zombies? I don't know. What are your thoughts? And last question is, I'm always welcome to any constructive feedback on the Derpcast so far. Questions, come at me. Anywho, that's all I have for this month. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Yeah. Thanks for listening. And make today an awesome one. And hopefully this recording doesn't fail on me, but it probably won't. But have a good one. See you next time.